Hi there. So tonight, Nate is at football practice and I was on my way out to take my nightly stroller around the garden to just see what things look like. The sun has went down and it'll probably start getting dark here pretty soon. And this is like one of my favorite times to come out in the garden because everything is just like starting to quiet down for the evening. And the garden just almost seems to look like it's glowing. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna grab my phone and we'll take you guys along with me for the walk through the garden. So let's go. It's also one of my favorite times to walk through the garden because the sprinklers are usually on. And so it's always kind of fun to try and miss all the sprinklers. But we'll walk through here. Take a look at all the things that are blooming. You can see it's just super peaceful. You probably can hear like, I don't know, some squawking from the birds, but nobody's like blowing or mowing or weed whipping. It's just really nice and quiet. The hydrangeas look really pretty this year. Sprinklers are on and lots of things are blooming. These zinnias are just one of my favorite things that I planted this year. These are the whirligig mix. I usually plant the Venery giant, and the guy who sold these seeds to my sister from Ivy Garth Seed Company, I think they only sell wholesale, unfortunately, but the guy who sold these to her was like, okay, you gotta try this other mix. It's called whirligig, and if you like the Venery giant, you'll love this one. I'm gonna back up real quick so I don't get hit by the sprinkler. You can kind of see it sprinkling my flowers. I never ever water these flowers ever. I never water those zinnias. I watered them once when I planted them, and then they just get watered from our overhead sprinklers, so pretty fortunate about that. But anyway, the guy suggested this whirligig mix, and boy was I so glad. They're really tall. They're standing up very straight. None of them are staked, and they just look beautiful. I'm 5'3". You can see like they're pretty much as tall as I am. This one is as tall as I am from where it is planted in the ground. So it's pretty crazy that they're planted on this slopey hill and they're standing up this straight with no staking. They're just an awesome plant. Totally gonna do these next year. I've also cut on them quite a bit, but I just really love like the reds and oranges and pinks together with pops of yellow. It's a really neat mix. And then they also have sort of like some peachy colors going on every once in a while. This little hosta garden over here is looking great. The halcyon are blooming. Let's go over here for a sec. And I also planted some of those zinnias in my raised beds this year instead of planting vegetables, and I've just been loving it. I've had so many swallowtail butterflies, monarch butterflies. I see multiple hummingbirds a day. It's just been a lot of fun. And then I planted the Chantilly snapdragons in there this year. Those ones are kind of fizzling out. My roses, actually I haven't showed you guys my roses in a while, but this is my pretty and pink rose that is growing on my trellises that my brother made me. I've got one planted over there and one right there, so those are doing really, really good this year. Oh, while we're over here, some of you guys have been asking me about the butterbur, and I cannot believe how amazing this is doing. Look at this. So these bigger stalks are the ones that I actually planted, And then all the ones that died back, oh, I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes. All the ones that died back are throwing up new shoots already. Isn't that neat? I'm just ecstatic about this because I would love for this to kind of take over in this area. So you can see this is one that I actually planted. I didn't cut it or anything. I planned on coming out here and cutting them because they were looking kind of shabby, and I didn't. And they just are putting on tons more shoots going all the way down. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's go back up. Maybe we'll go to the other side because the sprinklers are kind of making their way around this way. I'm loving this. This is a little quick fire hydrangea. I bought this on clearance at the end of this season last year and just threw it in here to hold it over, and it's really pretty. We'll take a walk up through here. I'm pleasantly surprised at how this looks this year, considering I never made it in time to cut these boxwoods back. They're usually like a nice round sphere, and you can see they're kind of nuts looking, but I'll give them a good trim this fall going into, oh, oopsie. I told you guys I wasn't going to say the F word again, and I did, so I apologize. But we'll give those a trim here in the coming weeks. How about that? And I love how the little limelight hydrangeas are turning out this year. I've been really enjoying this Mystic Illusion dahlia. Love this plant so much. I seen it at Mackinac Island, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. And I found it at a garden center in Zealand called Garden Crossings. But this is looking really pretty. My Halcyon Hosta is blooming. And I just love this kind of muted purple color of that bloom. The gully always looks really neat in the evening time. I don't know if you can tell, but it just kind of looks like it's glowing. And my American flag is, it's so good. I'm so proud of these carex right here. I planted these this year. These get probably at least 6 hours of sun, and they are the best looking carex in my yard. The coneflower are going nuts. They've continued to just reseed themselves everywhere, and I've really been enjoying it. This creeping Jenny is really beautiful. I planted one little plant in here, and it kind of just takes over in here. I do come in here every once in a while and just pull away at it so it doesn't get out of control, but it's just a really beautiful plant. I also come in here and take parts of it for planters that I put together, so I kind of borrow from this patch and use it in other areas of my garden. I do see it starting to creep in on that hydrangea that I want to move. I actually have 3 endless summer hydrangeas in here, and I kind of forget about them every year because they don't really do much. But I had some success moving some endless summer hydrangeas this year. They're doing great where I move them, so I'm thinking about moving those 3, seeing what happens. I'm loving these Holy Grail hibiscus. They look so neat, especially with that foliage color. And I love the pink and red together. with the pink cleome. This is just such a magical, mystical looking flower. Just belongs in like a storybook. Oh, there's a hummingbird right there on my lobelia. Oh, he's probably not gonna let me get close though. You see him? Oh, there he goes. Yeah, the hummingbirds are just going nuts this year. They love my little snapdragon patch. They love my blue salvia, the lamb's ear. Oh my gosh, the cleome. They go crazy over the cleome. But that one in particular was going to town on this red lobelia here, which is just so beautiful. I really want to get some more of this. I think I had 3 plants in here, and oh, there's one. There's another one right there, getting ready to bloom. Boy, I just love the pink and red together. That pink with the red, it just looks so cool. I don't know where my other lobelia is. I'm not sure. Must have not made it. But I planted those last year. I got them on sale. But this has just been a lot of fun down here this year with all the color that is going on. This garden right here in particular is kind of a bit of a hodgepodge, I would say. I just threw the leftover of my annuals in here this year because I wasn't really sure where to put them, and it looks really pretty, but I'm hoping that my roses kind of pop out of whatever's going on. They're actually the best they've ever looked this year. That one's gonna bud or bloom. That one's got a bud on it. The Charlotte rose looks great. But we'll see what they do in this area, and then I might end up just doing something completely different. I'm not really sure. Because I do love these delphinium in here. This is the red lark delphinium. This is the double scoop raspberry echinacea. And it's a beautiful echinacea, but it always kind of flaps over like this, and I kind of don't mind it because this is on a hill, and it kind of just like cascades down the hill, so I've left it here. My little anemone is starting to bud and bloom. I kind of wish this would take over, but it just hasn't. It's kind of creeped a little bit, but it's been in here for years and it doesn't really move, and I kind of wanted it to, but that's all right. We'll just walk through here, but I love all the colors of the Heuchera, and this is just so colorful, and the only annual color in here is that pink impatiens, and even if I delete that, it's still so much color. And then when I add it, look how much color that gave. It's just such a difference, just that little tiny pop of color. But like I said, even if I didn't have it, I've got so much color going on in here. And I love that. I love that I don't have to buy annuals, if I don't want to provide color, because a lot of the foliage I have just does that for me automatically. So that gives me purple. That gives me red or orange or whatever, maroon. This gives me green and white. This Hosta takes on a blue tint. It is a blue angel. Coneflower are just going crazy. I love the coneflowers so much. The white ones I've really been enjoying this year. And the beacon impatiens just popped in throughout, are so much fun. I really am loving this too. The contrast of this beacon impatient and the Jack Diamond's Brennera is really neat. These carex right here were completely eaten back by the deer this winter. And I know I've been asked so many times, like, how do you control the deer in your area? Long story short, I really don't have a lot of deer pressure in my area through the growing season. We've got lots of activity going around, like kids on bikes, people mowing their lawn, people taking walks. It's a pretty active little community that we have around my area. I also have a farmer's cornfield across the way there, literally within throwing distance. And so I think they find other places that aren't as active to find food through the growing season. However, they do eat a lot of my things in the winter time, carex being one of them. So my way of kind of deterring the deer is just not planting things that they eat. There are a couple things that bounce back even though they get eaten, and one of those things is carex. So they will come in and they will completely hack back my carex and Heuchera because they're kind of like a sorry, I got mosquitoes. I usually don't stand here and talk to a camera when I'm walking through my garden at night. I'm usually moving a little bit more than this. But anyway, they do eat my carex and my Heuchera, and they bounce back. They don't really skip a beat. It might take them like a week or two to get back in the groove of it, but as you can see, it didn't really affect them that much. So I try not to plant things that the deer eat. However, I do have a couple exceptions to my personal rule. If the deer eat your Heuchera and they eat your carex in the wintertime, hopefully they'll bounce back. This is kind of another example of that. All of these Heuchera right here, the Primo Black Pearl and the Caramel, were completely gone, and they're doing just fine now. So we will kind of continue on here. I know I keep saying it, but my plan today was to take you on a Hosta tour, but we had forgotten we had to go to a birthday party for my nephew, and then Nate had football practice, so it was just not gonna work out for today, but I will for sure do that this week. Everything's looking really pretty. The Brennerall looks so cool in there. I love that plant so much. This little guy's doing great this year. I pulled all these plants from my yard, except the Hydrangeas. My sister gave me that. She grew that. Gave me a ton of it, so I just plopped some in here like halfway through. I had already planted this thing up, this planter, and I was like, oh, I had a few extra, so I threw them in there. But this lamium I took from the yard, impatiens we grew from seed, Heuchera, the yard, Hosta. There's another little gold Heuchera in there. Oh, this fern is starting to go nuts. This is the crested surf, Japanese painted fern. I'm so happy with this little spot right here. So this spring I came in here and I felt like these obsidian Heuchera were kind of just blending in with the mulch. So I tried to collect a bunch of moss from my yard because I noticed that it grew really well in this area naturally. Like all that has naturalized right there. And so I kind of created like a little river of it. And it kind of turned out really neat. And then I lined it with some really skinny sticks. Planes going by. These autumn frost hosta just glow so much at night. They are beautiful. I wanted to make a movie about my favorite hosta, and spoiler alert, these are one of them. They're so beautiful. By the way, thank you guys so much for chiming in on that "do you like hosta blooms or not" question. I feel like the majority of the people said that they like the hosta blooms, and then there was a percentage of people who said they like the hosta blooms but they cut them off as soon as they're done, and then there was a handful of people who said they don't like the hosta blooms at all and they cut them off right away. So it was really cool and interesting to see what everybody prefers and what everybody loves. I think it's just what makes the world go round. Everybody loves different things, and that's why every garden is so cool and different and unique, because you are your own creative soul and you have your own creative mind and you want to do it your own way, and that's like the beauty of it. It's so much fun. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for that, because it's so interesting to read all of your comments around that kind of subject. But the reason I mentioned that is there were some comments on there, quite a few people actually, that said you don't mind the hosta blooms, but you prefer the shorter blooms, not the big, long, and lanky ones, which I kind of with you on that. I prefer the cute, shorter ones. I love the long and lanky ones, don't get me wrong, but these right here are the cutest little hosta blooms next to my blue mouse ear hosta blooms. They're like super short and stout, but these are so cute. Like, look how short these are. They're probably only about, I don't know, I'd say about 8 inches at the most above the canopy of the plant. So they're just the cutest little bloom ever, and it's a very faint little lavender color, super muted, so you can hardly even see it. If you don't like it, it's just like this added little bonus. But these are such a great plant, and my husband and I will look out our bedroom window out there and you can see, sorry, mosquitoes are nuts. You can see my whole gully garden, like literally from the shed all the way up. And this section right here with these autumn frost hosta, it just grabs your eye, grabs your attention straight away. So these are such a great plant. While we're here too, I've got some autumn joy sedum in here. So I've got 3 of them, and I usually come in here and pinch those back about halfway through the summer so they can become more sturdier and branch out a little bit more, so the plant isn't trying to hold up a big long stem. I was like, dang it, I forgot to do that this year. I had so much going on. And the cool thing is the plants around them are starting to grow in, and they're almost like staking them up, which is really nice. Like this blue Hawaii hosta is staking them up on that side. I've got a couple of boxwoods that are coming into their own that are staking them up as well, and the same thing over here. So I'm pretty excited about that, because I was worried those were going to flop over this year, and nature is kind of just doing its thing for me in here, which is wonderful. I'm really loving the colors right here. This is the evening gown Heuchera. Beautiful plant. I got these on sale last year at the end of the season, and I usually put a massive patch of impatiens in there, and I threw those in there to overwinter, and as they kind of grew through the summer this year, I just loved it, and so I left them in there. And they look really great next to this Sum and Substance hosta. And then it takes you into this peachberry ice Heuchera. I'm just really loving the colors in here this year. Starting to get a little bit darker. We'll go up here on the deck and just check out the planters real quick. These planters have just been such a joy. If you are looking for a full sun, almost true, I would say this is pretty true blue, and they close up at night, the blooms do. But this is the Blew My Mind Evolvulus, Blew My Mind Evolvulus, and it is gorgeous. I tried to do like a subtle red, white, and blue planter here, and I've just been loving it so much. The cool thing is too, I'm going to overwinter that geranium. Then I just have a giant hens and chicks here, and a little hosta. I've got this cute little ivy geranium. This planter is doing so much better, 100% better. It was completely dying. I had planted it in a planter that I did not know. I didn't realize it didn't have drainage, and it was just drowning. This is the only one that's kind of like still trying to come back, but it's doing a lot better than it was. This is the Scaevola fan flower. But yeah, this flower I thought was gonna be dead. This is a sun patient. This is a Dusty Miller, type of Dusty Miller, and then the Celosia did great. But I'm really happy with the progress of this planter now that it's in a pot with drainage. Over here, I just love all the glow that's going on with this white pot and the creeping Jenny here. I pulled this from my yard in that big patch I showed you. These planters are doing beautifully. I kind of wish this was up on like a little table or something so you could see this beautiful Tradescantia hang down. We'll have to work on that. But yeah, my planters are looking great. This is one of my favorite planters right here. These two Heuchera have been in here for several years, overwintered. Here's another one of my subtle red, white, and blue planters here, but you can see the flowers are closing up for the night. Then they open in the daytime and they're so beautiful. This is starting to look great. This is my Heuchera grass. I had to fix this up this year because it kind of died back on me. I didn't clean it up properly in the fall, but now it looks wonderful. I just love it. And we're kind of back to where we started. My strawberry plant is doing really great. It has tons of strawberries on it actually. Wow, I need to pick these off before the bunny gets to them. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's awesome. I'll take one in. Well, thank you guys so much for taking a walk with me around the garden. Usually I'm out there all by myself, just kind of in silence, walking around quizzing myself on the plants. I don't know if you've seen that in my last movie, but I usually walk through and like try to make myself remember each plant, and I try not to walk past the plant until I remember. So usually I'm just out there talking to myself, so it was kind of nice to talk to somebody else today. So I appreciate you being here and just chatting with me tonight. It's about 8:30 tonight, so it's gonna get dark real soon, but I'm gonna go in there because Max is Max is waiting for me there. Hey buddy, you wanna say hi? You wanna say hi? Come on, you wanna come out? Don't be scared. It's okay. Sometimes they get scared out here. I don't know what it is, but oh, there's a bird. Anyway, I really do appreciate you guys so much, and hope that you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your night whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you guys later. Max, you want to say bye? Well, I know, what was that? Oh, your tail hit the leaf. That's what it was. Your tail hit it. Want to say bye? Say bye, buddy. You tell him bye? You're so cute. All right, well, we will see you guys next time. Bye. All right, we will see you guys next time.